Could you please speak about how we can work through regret and guilt on the human level after we have recognized that we should have had better behavior and we feel the heaviness in our solar plexus for disappointing someone and acting out of integrity, and the energy doesn't seem to want to move? Thank you. Carla. Yeah, that's such a painful one. I think that a lot of people can relate to that in so many ways. Like, part of being alive is that in order to grow, we have to destroy. And like, just in keeping ourselves alive, we have to eat other things. We have to destroy plants or animals. So our life is built on growth and destruction. So just in that, it's painful enough. It's not painful for other animals because they have no self-awareness, but because we become self-aware, we can comprehend that, which also makes us empathetic and gives us great qualities as well. But that is painful to recognize. And that our behaviors hurt people. And that sometimes we do shitty things and we don't fully think about the effects of our behavior. I know I have done many shitty things in my life, before and after the energetic expansion. That is something that we all have done. We're all so quick to throw stones. We're all playing this game of goodness, or people play this game of goodness and quick to throw stones. Like, look at them, they did bad. Like, shaming people. It's massive, the shaming that we like to do. Like, you look at current news and these gossip papers and stuff, and so much about it is shaming. We love shaming. Like, look what this celebrity did. Look at their fat ass, or look how much weight they've put on. Or look how skinny they are, we even shame them for that. Or look how much they care about their looks. Or the Me Too movement, like shaming people, calling people out, which I can see has a benefit, particularly for victims and women, but it's also based on this shame with very little compassion. Like, the reason that these perpetrators do things is because of us as a society, the way they've been brought up. There's no independent person. I remember reading this really beautiful thing about a tribe. I can't even remember the tribe. And when one person sins, the whole tribe takes it on board. So the whole tribe takes responsibility for it. I thought that was so cool and so beautiful. So if somebody murders, like, the whole tribe takes responsibility for that, because we are all a product of this one society, and we love to forget about that and point the fingers and say, you are bad, I am good. It's one of our favorite games, but we're like this bundle of information, and we're constantly passing it on to people. So the new life we give to the younger children, the younger generations, is everything that we've been to date as a society. So they're taking on board all our evilness, all our darkness, all our nastiness, and all our goodness and all our light. And then one child grows up and becomes a murderer, and then we're like, you are bad. And it's so obvious when you look out from the outside, like, how that happens in a society, like why they became a murderer. Well, we like to say you chose and that you did wrong. So the freedom of this, obviously, is really, really giving up and surrendering to non-doership. Really seeing that you aren't doing it. There is nobody that does anything. There is nobody that's guilty. That doesn't mean that we don't say, you are being inappropriate now. Don't do that to me, it's hurting. It doesn't mean we become these like passive bundles of energy that like lets everything in and has no boundaries. It's that underneath that nobody is guilty, nobody is to blame. Either side. So your shame in the solar plexus, or your guilt in your solar plexus, also contains the other side of goodness, like attachment to goodness. I should be good, they should be good. So it's like this playing in this world, which has appropriateness in our behavior, but it's going beyond that identification and seeing that that's not really true. Who should be good? Life is happening. You couldn't have acted in any other way. You couldn't have done anything differently. But it's one of our deepest karmas, the original sin, the original guilt. We become aware of our nakedness, and then we get chucked out of Eden for being naked. I remember when I was a kid, I used to have dreams about this, like waking up and I was naked and everyone was like horrified. I was running around naked. As a kid, I'm sure I've said this to you loads, I had severe dyslexia. Most people think of dyslexia and they just think it's like a muddling up of numbers, but it depends on the severity. And I had it very severe, like there was most probably other stuff now. Maybe now I'd be diagnosed with other things. It was so bad that the education system, like the schooling system, thought that I needed to go to a special needs school. I think in other countries, special needs school means like for kids that have low intelligence. But in England, that means it's like the school for kids with like multiple sclerosis, like that can't walk, that can't maybe speak, like maybe kids with very, very low IQ that struggle to do things and struggle to be independent, maybe severe autism. So they wanted to put me in that school because my dyslexia was so bad, like I had problems speaking. I also think that I have something maybe like dyspraxia, where it's like problem with coordination. But it used to lead me to forget a lot of things. And this used to really traumatize me as a child. I used to forget sometimes to put on underwear when I went to school. And I think this is related to dyslexia. Because it's like I couldn't contain all this information in my brain of things I had to do, like the thinking brain. Now I still have problems, like I forget a lot of things. And this used to be so traumatic. Like I'd get to school and I'd realize I didn't have my underwear on, and I was so terrified that I would like get into trouble, because in the 80s, as a girl, you had to wear a skirt. Like you weren't allowed to wear trousers. And, you know, and I would be so scared. And I always used to forget my gym kit as well. Like, so they used to make me do it naked, which is really traumatic, and they wouldn't do that now. Like I'd have to just do it in my pants, like my underwear, and then I'd be terrified, like what if I forget my underwear as well, and then they're gonna make me work totally in the buff. Like, actually, this is traumatic for me. But this is our original sin, like this is our original guilt, is about our nakedness. And what that means is also like our predator nature. Like we are also predators. And that's really scary to us as well. We're really successful predators. And we like want to cover that up. We want to cover up our competitiveness, our want to be powerful, our want to be strong, our want to have our things. And we want to just be this goodness, which we are also this goodness. But it's also, we have these other elements in us, but we're so ashamed of ourselves. And then we have this unconsciousness, which can lead to passive aggression, negative behaviors. But none of that is your fault. You couldn't have been any other way. And what it does is it can create this burning energy, like this shame can create burning energy in the heart and in the solar plexus. You say it's in the solar plexus. And it is like a burning energy. This shame, like what I did, I'm so guilty. But really what you're feeling below all of that is the guilt of being kicked out of Eden. Like it's your fault that God abandoned you, which is really not true. But it's one of the worst feelings, is this shame and this guilt. This is why we're so obsessed with projecting externally, like they're bad, they did bad things to us. And as an empath, you tend to have heightened feelings of shame or guilt and empathy and feeling like you did something bad to someone. But it's absolutely not true. There is nobody in there that did something bad. You are not guilty. And you have to define, what guilt or what shame it is. Like, is it that you're afraid that other people will find out? Is it that you feel bad for that person suffering? And just like really being honest to it, but not getting stuck into it. So it's like you come in and you allow the feeling to be there. You can explore it to an extent, but then you move into presence. So you begin to move away from that. Sometimes you have to move it into the positive to move away from it, but it's bringing it in. It's acknowledging it to the past, but then moving into that boundless presence that is. You can also get stuck in like PTSD, shame and trauma. So if you're getting stuck in the mentality of it, in the thoughts of it, like going around and round in the story of it, then I would recommend doing something else until it calms down and then going into the feeling of it. But yeah, as you become really present to it, it disappears. There is no you that's in relationship to it. So it's really about presence, but not getting stuck in the PTSD of it, if there is that there. Like going over and over in the story, like who was wrong, who you hurt, what you should have done, what you shouldn't have done. Like that doesn't help. What will others think? It's just energy in the end. Everything is energy. And there is nobody that's guilty of anything. There is energy. So even like a murderer, a really nasty person, they're just an energy that's come from everything that is before. So it's come from the Big Bang, it's come from the dinosaurs, it's come from the evolution, and they're just acting out that role, and they're not guilty of it. I remember when I went to talk of Wayne Lickerman, I remember like just him really like striking me with a baseball bat when I was going on about goodness and badness, and he said, who would pick to be the bad character? Everyone will want to be the good character. Of course. It's the most powerful. If you're the bad character, then society can put you in jail. They can hate you. They can chuck you out. The good character is safe. You can see Kyla's writing something. Thank you, it was helpful. Oh, nice, Kyla.